The man sent his family 42,000 yuan every month for living expenses, yet he came home to an empty table every day. He began to suspect his wife was supporting another man. Then one day, his wife nearly starved because she had no money for food. That was when he learned his mother had taken most of the household money, giving his wife only 200 yuan a month, while insisting that since she stayed home all day, 200 yuan was more than enough for food. Do you know how much a pound of pork costs now? 200 yuan wouldn't even last a week? Why can't she spend less? Look at her hair. One trip to the salon cost 200 yuan. She hasn't been to a salon in 2 years. Realizing her lie was about to fall apart, his mother quickly changed her story and claimed she'd saved the rest of the money. He didn't believe a word and immediately demanded to see the family's bank statements. His mother finally admitted the truth. She shamelessly said his sister had taken 300,000 yuan to buy a house last year, then borrowed another 100,000 or so when her husband's company ran into cash flow problems. But after doing the math, the man realized he'd sent his family a total of 1.5 million yuan over 3 years. Another 1 million yuan was still completely unaccounted for. When her son confronted her, his mother flew into a rage. She accused his wife of putting him up to demanding the money and insisted his wife had only married him for his family's wealth. Enough. She's after our money? For 200 yuan a month? With all her schemes exposed, his mother had nothing left to say. She threw a fit, ordered him to leave, and told him never to come back again. Their heated argument woke his sleeping father. Realizing the truth could no longer be hidden, he admitted that the mother had given the sister's family at least 700,000 or 800,000 yuan over the years. The revelation hit the man like a bolt of lightning. Almost every penny he'd worked so hard to earn over the past 3 years had gone to his sister and brother-in-law, while his own wife had been struggling to survive on just 200 yuan a month right under his nose. Overwhelmed by guilt and anger, he immediately called his sister to demand the money back. But she made excuse after excuse, claiming their mother had willingly given it to her. Once you gave it to mom, it became her money. Who she gives it to is none of your business. Her selfishness and cold attitude pushed him over the edge. He demanded to know how she could knowingly spend his hard-earned money when her sister-in-law had only 200 yuan a month to live on. She doesn't even work. What's wrong with 200 yuan? Before I got married, hearing his sister defend herself without the slightest guilt, he refused to argue any further and firmly demanded that her family return every penny immediately. She arrogantly hung up on him. Thinking about everything his wife had suffered over the past 3 years, he was filled with regret and wanted to slap himself. Holding back his grief, anger, and guilt, he tried to stay calm and went to apologize, only to discover that his wife had already checked herself out of the hospital. He rushed home in a panic and found his wife quietly sitting on the couch. With a calm but heartbroken look in her eyes, she confronted him. Where exactly did all the money you earned over the years go? He had no choice but to tell her the truth. Every penny he'd sent home over the past 3 years had been taken by his mother and given to his sister and brother-in-law. His wife felt completely crushed and deeply disappointed. Throughout their 3-year marriage, she'd always lived as frugally as possible. Whenever her mother-in-law had a birthday, she would scrape together 500 yuan from their tiny grocery budget for a cash gift. Every new year, she would go without new clothes so she could save enough to buy her mother-in-law an expensive down jacket. Yet even after doing all that, she was still called stingy and ungrateful. She had silently endured every insult. She kept telling herself that as long as her husband truly loved her, every sacrifice would be worth it. But for 3 whole years, he never cared about how she lived, never asked whether she had enough to eat or whether she was exhausted. He believed everything his mother said and never once stood up for his wife. There was no reason to keep fighting alone for a cold, loveless marriage. She immediately asked for a divorce, saying the house and car were both in his mother's name, so she was willing to leave with nothing. He firmly refused to divorce her. Full of regret, he admitted that he'd been blind and foolish for the past 3 years, obeying his mother without question, believing only her side of the story, and completely ignoring his wife's pain and sacrifices. He begged her to give him 1 month to change. If she still wanted a divorce after that, he promised he would let her go without causing any trouble. You get one day, I'm done waiting. He immediately went to his company's payroll department and changed the account where his salary was deposited. He also took the day off, spent the only 1,000 yuan he had on fresh ingredients and household supplies, and followed recipes to cook an entire table full of food himself. When his wife came home, she paused in surprise, then quietly sat down to eat without saying a word. He quickly showed her his newly deposited paycheck and solemnly promised that from then on, every cent he earned would go directly to her. But his wife was still worried that his mother wouldn't let this go. Sure enough, the moment she said it, his mother called. His mother demanded to know why his salary hadn't arrived that month. When she learned he would never hand over his paycheck again, she exploded, calling his wife vicious and accusing her of only caring about the family's money. She even threatened to come over and throw her out. Your mom is definitely coming here tomorrow. Let her come, but can you really handle it? You've been married to me for 3 years, and you've endured this for 3 years. If I can't handle something this small, I don't deserve to be your husband. His wife remained silent, but she temporarily gave up on the idea of divorce. That night, he happened to see his brother-in-law's social media posts, where he was showing off expensive meals and luxury cars. The man immediately hired someone to investigate his company. But the moment he hung up, his sister called, demanding to know why he had stopped giving their mother his salary and accusing him of siding with an outsider against his own family. He bluntly exposed her selfish motives, leaving her speechless. Furious, she hung up. Overcome with guilt and anger, the man slapped himself hard, hating how foolish and ignorant he had been. Early the next morning, his parents and sister stormed into his home, and immediately accused his wife of driving the family apart and destroying the bond between mother and son. The man immediately stepped forward and shielded his wife behind him. He firmly warned his mother that if she insulted or laid a hand on his wife again, he would cut all ties with her for good. The man sent